My name is Bernie. I am a mom of two. My oldest is 2 next month, actually, and my youngest is 6.5 months. So I am not super experienced, as many of you are. I know a lot of you probably have multiple children. Some of you might be expecting. So welcome to motherhood. And I have been a sleep consultant for over 3.5 years now. I'm internationally qualified, so I can work virtually all over the world. But my thing lately has been giving you my resources for free. And so that's why I've started these monthly masterclasses. If you didn't come to my last one, you can tune into that too as a replay on my website if you go to snuggleconsulting.com. It was all about the biological clock and how to utilize that for better sleep. So that's a really good foundational one. I have done masterclasses in the past, but this is my new monthly series. So I'm going to be sharing all of my resources with you as much as I can, just to help you guys get some more sleep. So welcome. Tonight, this is going to be our content. So briefly, we're going to be talking obviously about naps and routines. That's why you guys signed up. Then we're going to go over any questions you guys have. If you pop them in the chat box, when I come back, if you have a question you want to just, say on the video, I will try to find everybody who has a question as well. And then Leah Jacobson, she is a qualified lactation consultant, is going to be coming on and doing a segment on sideline nursing. That is something I struggle with myself. So I'm super keen for her little segment tonight. And we also have the giveaway. If you signed up for tonight's masterclass, whether you're here or not, whether you watch the replay, you will go into the giveaway for the beautiful handmade plush baby Jesus doll. If you guys saw that, it's absolutely gorgeous. Super quality by Petite Saints. Okay, so digging right into it. You want me to grab out your notebook or your phone and start scribbling down. So foundations of a nap routine. Now, obviously, naps is daytime sleep. So we're not really going to be covering nighttime sleep right now, but the foundations for a really good nap routine are going to be based off your baby's nighttime sleep. So the more sleep your baby has and less overtired they are, the better they're going to sleep. So it's this really fun cycle. So if your baby sleeps well overnight, they're going to sleep well during the day. And if they sleep well during the day, they're going to sleep well at night. And so if vice versa, if they're sleeping really terribly at night, they're likely to sleep really badly during the day. Of course, there are unicorn situations. You might have a situation where your baby's sleep is just all over the place, super erratic, and just start getting that stuff on track is going to be helping all of the sleep. So wherever you start tackling it, if you start with the daytime, you're going to help the nighttime. If you start with the nighttime, you're going to help the daytime. So bedtime and your morning wake up time for your baby, these are really important. These are kind of like the bookends of the night. So focusing on those two, then we're going to be focusing on biological nap times. Again, we're going to be utilizing your baby's biological clock to help them sleep better. I don't have a graph with me tonight, but there are graphs that, they've done scientific studies and they've, hooked people up, and it's really fascinating how hormones work. But we have these spikes in melatonin through the day. So there's certain times throughout the day where your baby will get a rush, a surge of melatonin. And there's things we can do to help our babies get more melatonin. But there are certain times in the day that naturally they will have more melatonin. So it makes sense that if your baby naturally has melatonin at a certain time of the day, to use that time of the day for their nap. And so we're going to be using those biological nap times for your baby's naps. And then we're going to be using our wake windows. These are periods of time between your baby's naps. So it could be 1 hour, 2 hours. We're going to go over those in a minute. And then we're going to talk about family activities and your routine and how to personalize all of this to your family. That's what we're really going to work on tonight. So overnight sleep. If your baby is not sleeping well, probably sounds super crazy, but babies and toddlers do need between 11 to 12 hours of sleep overnight. You may have a low sleep needs baby. This is very unlikely. Low sleep needs is very, very rare, actually. A lot of pediatricians, because they don't have the answer to how to get a baby to sleep better, they will throw off to a mother and just say, oh, your baby probably has low sleep needs. And so maybe your baby's only sleeping 8 to 9 hours overnight, but you're not seeing good day naps and you're just seeing a lot of fractious behavior. So this is probably because they're not actually low sleep needs. So low sleep needs should be the last diagnosis that your baby gets. If they're not sleeping well, we should be trying everything else to get them better sleep, better quality sleep, and more sleep. And if none of that is effective and your baby is happy and content, but they're not sleeping that much, they probably have truly low sleep needs. So your baby does need 11 to 12 hours of sleep overnight. Now, we're not getting into overnight sleep tonight, so I'm not going to delve into that. That'll be for another masterclass. But if your baby is not sleeping well during the day and they're sleeping less than 11 hours overnight or even less than 10 hours overnight, this is a really, really key factor in their daytime sleep. So work on that overnight sleep, and then it's going to automatically help their daytime sleep as well. Bedtime, we want that to be between 6 to 8 p.m. So it might sound super early for some of you if you have later bedtimes. The reason that we use bedtime between 6 to 8 p.m. is there is a biological spike of melatonin between 6 to 8 p.m. So it's going to be easiest for your baby to fall asleep at that time. And then again, a wake up time between 6 to 8 a.m. that correlates to babies and toddlers needing 11 to 12 hours of sleep overnight. If your baby is going to bed at 7 p.m. and waking up 4 or 5 a.m. and starting the day, that's not enough sleep, and it's going to be throwing out their daytime routine. So we want to be pushing off that early wake up if they're having that. Any wake up before 6 a.m. is going to be an early wake up. If your baby is going to bed between 7 to 8 p.m. at night and they're waking up around 6 a.m., you could sleep train them and push that morning wake up. You could use different techniques. Again, we're not going into overnight sleep tonight, so I'm not going to really delve into that. I want to get into the nap stuff, but that's something you want to work on too, is getting them to be having that 11 to 12 hours. So if it's a 7 p.m. bedtime, you most likely want a 6 or 7 a.m. wake up time. If it's an 8 p.m. bedtime, you want a 7 or 8 a.m. wake up time. The biological nap times, they're right there, so you can see them. 9 to 10 a.m. is a spike in melatonin. 12 to 2 p.m. is a spike in melatonin. And 4 to 5 p.m. is not a spike in melatonin, which is why you see it in the little parentheses. But it is a prime time for a nap during the day, because if your baby under 9 months has 2 naps earlier in the day and they finish their nap sort of early mid-afternoon, somewhere around 2, 3 is a pretty normal time to be ending a nap. And then you try to push them through to bedtime, which is between 6 to 8 p.m. They're not going to make it. They're going to crash. And maybe they're super hyped up and they don't want to sleep. It's because there isn't a natural melatonin spike. So to be completely honest with you there is not a natural nap window in the late afternoon, but most babies under 9 months really do need an extra nap. And we'll go into that in a minute about talking about how to get that extra nap happening. But it is a nap window. It's just there is no natural melatonin. So sometimes it's kind of hard to get that one going. Awake windows. There's a lot of information here, guys. So just try to, lean into whichever age your baby is and look at those nap windows. These are, awake windows. These are average times that your baby needs to stay awake before going back to sleep. This includes feeding. This includes playtime. So this is the time from when your baby wakes up to when you put them to sleep again. So this also includes a wind down routine. You can see starting at 3 to 6 weeks and your baby's just, they're just a few weeks old. They're just a newborn. The awake window is very short. It's only an hour and 15 minutes. And if any of you have been breastfeeding, then you know that most newborns, again, there are unicorn babies, but most newborns do take a good 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour to feed. So if you're newborn, if you've just had a baby or if you're pregnant, this is just a really good side tip. It's basically with newborns, they wake up, they feed, you change their nappy, their diaper, you might change their outfit, a couple of cuddles, and they go back to sleep. So there's really not much of an awake window. Newborns do need a lot of sleep. So if your newborn is pushing through that tiredness and then they're getting grumpy and, you're maybe thinking, I'm crazy, like I'm postpartum, I'm trying to recover and my baby's just awake and I'm never sleeping. It's probably because you need to actually start putting them down to sleep earlier. So that's just a little side note if you're expecting or if you do have a baby under 12 weeks, those awake windows are very short. Then you see they extend. It's kind of an average of 15 minutes every month. But again, every baby is different. This is why I want to personalize it. So start with these awake windows. And then as your baby is giving you cues, maybe your baby's not ready to go to sleep. Maybe they're like just crying and crying, but not tired crying. Or maybe they're crying and crying, but they just seem really, really overtired. Then you want to adjust those wake windows accordingly because we want to create a nap routine that's going to work for your family. We're not going to be just downloading a nap routine online and trying to force your baby to follow it because your baby is a little human and they have their own needs. They have their own sleep needs. They have their own feeding needs. That's why we have some picky eaters, some non-picky eaters. So every baby does sleep differently. Every toddler sleeps differently. So really want to just take that into account. And, follow those awake windows, but adjust them to your family. And hi to everybody who just joined us. I heard a few more people coming through onto the presentation. So, and then I just want to skip to the end there and make a couple of notes. So you see that naps start to drop. So up until 9 months, most babies need 3 naps a day. So it's going to be your morning nap, your midday sort of afternoon nap, and then you're going to have your actual true afternoon nap. Around 9 months is when most babies drop that. Then they will keep 2 naps up until down here. This is flexible depending on the baby. Some babies will drop that nap at 16 months, 15, 16 months. And some babies will keep that nap right up until 18 months. So just follow your baby's cues. Some of those cues for when they're ready to drop a nap are going to be resisting bedtime. So if you have a really stable bedtime routine, your baby's, always gone to bed, say maybe 7 or 7:30 p.m., maybe even 6:30 p.m., and all of a sudden they're refusing that, that's a sign that they're getting too much day sleep. They're not ready for sleep. And instead of just pushing out that bedtime, it makes more sense to just reduce that daytime sleep and keep that really good quality block of sleep overnight. And you can just tweak it. You can do 5 minutes at a time. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. We're not asking you to drop that nap immediately. We're just reduce it a little bit and see what your baby's sleep needs are. Another sign is early morning wakings. So if your baby, again, is waking up before 6 a.m. Or if they've always slept, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and now all of a sudden they're waking up 6:30 and then they're waking up 6 and maybe 5:45, this tells you that they're probably getting too much day sleep. So start reducing that day sleep by a little bit. And you'd be reducing the morning nap. So the midday nap is the one that lasts the longest. So we have 3 naps: your morning, your midday, and your afternoon. Your afternoon's going to go first. That's going to go around 9 months. Sometimes a baby who really likes that nap, they might not drop it till 10 months, and a baby who drops it early might be 7 months. And then you're going to be dropping the morning nap next. That's usually going to drop somewhere between 15 to 18 months. Again, a really high sleep needs baby might not drop it to closer to 20 months. And at that point, it's probably going to be like a 15-minute morning nap. And then you're going to keep that one midday nap, and you're going to drop that when your baby is giving you signs. This is all over the place. So this is really depends on your baby. Some children are going to actually keep that midday nap, even like a 30-minute nap or a 1 hour nap right up until age 3 or 4. Other babies are really going to need that nap dropped around 2 years of age. So again, watch the bedtime resistance, watch the early morning wakes, and watch their quality of sleep overnight. If they're starting to wake up a lot overnight, that means they're not as tired, and you want to start reducing that daytime sleep. I am powering through tonight, guys. This is a short presentation. This is a 30-minute presentation before we have Leah coming on. So I just want to give you as much information as possible. Okay, now let's get into your family life. And I'm going to go into the chat box in a little bit and jump in and see what questions you guys have so I can, help you brainstorm your situations. But we have schedules. Obviously, we're moms. We have multiple kids. Some of you have school kids. Other things, some of you had jobs, you might be working mothers, your child might be at daycare or playgroup or something. So we have immovable schedules and movable schedules. So the movable ones are going to be things like grocery shopping. You might initially be like, well, that's not movable because the only time I can do grocery shopping is this time in the afternoon because of X, Y, and Z. Fine, then that becomes immovable. Most of the time, things like grocery shopping are going to be movable. Maybe you can brainstorm it and think, oh, when my husband gets home, I can duck out, or on a Saturday morning I can go, or I can go, let them nap in the car on the way or whatever. So you're going to have those movable things that you can shift those appointments around. And then if you create a nap routine for your family, the fun thing is you can start scheduling things around it if you wish. So you might decide, oh, well, next time we go to the doctor, we're only going to do Mondays at this time because that works with my nap routine. That's a really smart choice. Then we're going to have immovable things. And I think this is really why I wanted to do tonight's masterclass, because a lot of you guys, a lot of you moms and dads, there's these immovable things that are going on in your lives, like a school drop-off and a school pickup. That's your classic. You've just had a baby, but you've got to take your kid to school in a couple of weeks. And you're looking at these nap routines, you're looking at these awake windows and these nap times, and they're just not working with your life. So then what happens is you just be like, forget that. Like, I'm going to do my own thing. And now your baby's grumpy. And it's just like, what do you even do with that? Sleep is not rigid. It can't be rigid, right? Like, we have families. God has given us beautiful, large families in our communities, and he's blessed some of us with, the gorgeous gift of fertility. And that means that you're going to have multiple schedules going on throughout your life. And things like going to school. You're not going to just take your kid out of school because your baby needs a nap. That's just not going to happen. So we really want to be mindful of our baby's sleep needs, because by just saying, oh, forget the sleep, we have all these other things going on, you're going to end up with a grumpy baby. And some of you might already have a grumpy baby, or a very clingy baby, or a sensitive baby, or a baby who's waking up a lot at night because they're not sleeping well during the day, which leads to bad night sleep. All of these things. So we really want to be mindful and give our babies, the best sleep that we can give them. But we need to be realistic. We have large Catholic families, or maybe you don't, maybe you have one child, but you want to have more children. So we need to work around that. They're just examples of things that you might have going on in your life that are immovable. So that's something to think about. What are the movable things that you're like, oh, I always skip my baby's nap because, I meet up with my friend at 9 a.m. and even though my baby needs her nap at 9, like, maybe you can move that. Like, maybe that's not immovable. Maybe you can say to your friend, hey, can we meet up at 9:30 instead? And your friend's like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. Then that's just like an easy problem to solve. This is also the really big part of tonight is contingency naps. This is working around your normal life. So this might just to some of you be like, oh, why didn't I think of that? But when you're a mom and you have a lot going on in your life, it's hard to think of everything. And honestly, babies napping during the day is sometimes like, it's sort of the last thing that you give attention to, but it's also something that is constantly overtaking your life, if you know what I mean. So it's like your baby needs to sleep, And as I said, your baby's getting overtired or they're getting grumpy. And just every day you're stressed about the idea of naps. But at the same time, it's sort of like low priority because you have things that actually need deadlines, like dropping your kids off at school. Like that's a non-negotiable. You have to drop your kids off at school. And even if you're running late, but they're still going to get there. So the nap kind of falls to the wayside. But at the same time, it's not really a low priority because you're always thinking about it. So these are some things to start implementing for you guys. Motion naps. These are car naps, baby carrier naps, a stroller nap, a grocery stroller, a grocery trolley, grocery cart nap. Any of those things might sound ridiculous right now. And just some quick tips around doing motion naps. If your baby has good associations and a good environment for sleep at home and they nap well in their crib, try to emulate as much of that as possible when you take them on a motion nap. So for example, if you've implemented some white noise, if you have a swaddle, if they have a pacifier or a dummy, if they have a certain blanket that they like, if they have a little stuffy that they like, if they like it to be really dark in their room, these are things that you can actually bring along with you. So say you're going in the car, you can bring your portable white noise machine. And you'd be surprised how much that helps your baby sleep. If they're attached to their white noise, if they're used to sleeping with white noise overnight or ocean sounds or rainfall sounds, any of those kind of consistent noises overnight, which is really healthy for developing good sleep habits. By bringing those into your daytime naps, it's going to help your baby sleep better because they're going to associate, oh, this is sleep time. So even though I'm in the car, I have my white noise and that's setting me off to go to sleep. Again, a special blanket or a stuffy. If your baby is over 6 months old, you can give them something small in their crib. Under 6 months, they cannot have anything in their crib that's not safe. They could suffocate. But over 6 months, you can give them a little stuffy, something, that they can suck on if they're teething. Pacifier. Under 6 months, they can have a pacifier. They're not going to suffocate on that. But over 6 months, you can start teaching them to replace their own pacifier once they hit about 8-9 months. Before that, you're going to be replacing it yourself. So you can decide if you want to go down the rabbit hole of pacifiers or not. I actually, side note, just got rid of my toddler's pacifiers. And even though, all the studies and everything, they're like, well, if you don't teach your child to replace the pacifier around 9 months, then they have to choose to get rid of themselves around 3-4 years. But one of my friends who has 3 kids, she told me something that she did. And she got her child's passy and she snipped a little bit from it each day. And honestly, it worked a treat because my toddler, so she did it with her toddler and I think he was 18 months and I did it with Ivory and she's nearly 2. This was a couple months ago. And the first day we snipped it and she was like, yucky, yucky. And she didn't like it. And she was like, this doesn't taste right. And we threw all the other passies away and we're like, well, that's your passy. And she recognized this. She was like, okay. And she was kind of like, and then she held on to it for a little bit. It's kind of like an emotional comfort thing. Like she kind of held it and she would suck on a little bit. But she was like, that's kind of yucky. And then I snipped it a little bit. I think it took about 3 or 4 snips. And one day she went over to the trash can and she just opened up, she threw it and she was like, yucky. And that was it. I think we had maybe 2 incidents where she found a pacifier. One was like under the couch or under the kitchen counter. And she was like, passy. And I was like, okay, I can't explain to her, she's not even 2 yet, that we got rid of the passy. So I just kind of let her go with it for a day. And then I just got rid of it and she didn't even notice. So if you do go down the pacifier rabbit hole, that's something else that you can do. So you have motion naps. Contact naps are naps that are going to be happening on you. It's contact with the mother. These are great for those shorter naps. If your baby's having a 15-minute nap, a 20-minute nap, even a longer nap if you want to do it. But most of you are on this masterclass because you're probably doing a lot of contact naps already. So contact naps are things that you can utilize. So it's like, oh my goodness, I don't have time to do a wind down routine. I don't have time to deal with the bedroom right now. I haven't sleep trained my baby. They don't know how to sleep by themselves. Just do the contact naps. They're still naps. I mean, your baby's still sleeping and it's going to help your baby sleep better overnight. So contact naps are great, honestly. If you are getting enough done that you're not stressed about having your baby sleeping on you. And I would really, challenge you guys, mothers, if you're getting stressed by a contact nap, this is not a guilt trip. So it's not like, oh, you're getting stressed by a contact nap. Like you should be fine with it. It's to say, if you value the contact nap and you actually think about it and you like it, I would challenge you to be okay with it, to accept the contact nap. Because if that's something that you actually want, don't feel pressured to get rid of it. It's actually fine. If your baby sleeps well at night and you're not having a ton of issues, then keeping the contact nap is not really a big deal. Don't let people guilt you online. Don't listen to other people. Listen to your gut. Split naps. This is a fun one. So a split nap is exactly what it says. It's splitting a nap in 2. So say your baby has a 2-hour nap, or they should be having a 2-hour nap from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you have something going on at 12:30 p.m. And you're not going to be back home till 2 p.m. It's like, what do you do? So you split the nap on either side of that. So you would start the nap around, say, 11 a.m. your baby would get up at 12. You would drive to wherever you need to go. They would do that thing from 12:30 to 2. And then on the way home, they would probably fall asleep again because they would be tired. And instead of letting them nap for hours and hours, then you would just let them nap for an hour or an hour and a half, and then you would get them back on track the next day. So that's a split nap. Another example could be if your baby is younger and they're taking a good 1 hour nap in the morning. A lot of things seem to be going on in the morning for moms, mommy and me classes, story times. These things happen at like 9:30. Say your baby usually has a nap from 9 to 10 a.m. and you have something at 9:30. What you can do is have your baby nap on the way to the thing, so they can nap from 9 to 9:30. And then say you finish your thing at 10:30 or even 11, they can have, 15, 30-minute nap on the other side. It's actually a split nap. So even though it might seem like, oh, this is crazy, my baby had these terrible naps today. If you actually wrote it down and looked at it, it's like, oh, they probably just had some split naps, and that's totally fine. It's not something you want to do every single day, and it's not every single nap every single day that you want to be splitting, because basically then you're just going to be doing short, tiny naps, cat naps all day, which is not very restorative for sleep. But if it's a one-off, or if it's, once a day or whatever, where you're doing that split nap because you have to, because you have that school drop-off, or you have that story time you've got to get to, or you've got to go to work and you have a meeting, then utilize those split naps. Supplementing missed nap time. This is another one. So if you miss a nap, this happens to everyone. This happens to me, and I'm a sleep consultant. Your baby misses a nap. Heck, this morning I dropped my husband at the airport. We had to get our girls up at 5 a.m. And I've been trying to deal with the early morning wakes because they've been waking up just before 6, like 5:50 and stuff like that. So I've been trying to get them to sleep a little bit longer. And then it was like, oh, great, we have to go to the airport. So we had to get them up at 5 a.m. And so my youngest, she missed a nap. And instead of freaking out about it, I was like, okay, the next nap will be longer. So usually her morning nap is 45 minutes, but she actually slept an hour and a half because she had missed the previous nap. So it's basically you tack on the missed nap time to the next nap time. Now, you might not give exactly the same length, but you're adding extra time. So for an example, your baby misses their morning nap because there's something going on. So usually they say they nap from 9:30 to 10 and they miss it. And their next nap is 12 to 2:30. So instead of being like, oh, we just lost that nap, add that nap time onto the next one. So put them down at 11:30 instead. And maybe they'll wake up a little bit early. And then the next thing you can do is bring bedtime forward. So if you're using a bedtime between 6 to 8 p.m., which is a great biological time for sleep, then you can bring it forward a little bit. You can bring it forward to 6:15, 6:30 if it's usually 7. Supplement that extra sleep to bedtime and just add it on. So this is how we're going to make your nap routine your own. I'm looking at the time over here, and it's been 25 minutes. So I'm just going to finish this up, and then we're going to get into your questions, and then we're going to welcome Leah for her little segment on side-lying nursing. And actually, just to go back to that previous slide as well, side-lying nursing would fit into contact naps, number 2. So, and even, number 4 there, supplementing missed nap time. If you want to get some extra rest and you just don't have the energy for a crib nap if they're stressful right now, or you just feel like being with your baby when they're sleeping, then side-lying nursing is a really great way to get some extra rest. Make your nap routine your own. This is kind of why you guys are here tonight. So step 1 is the wake up time. So if your baby is waking up before 6 a.m., that's something you want to deal with. A couple of things you can do for early morning wakings is no stimulation when they wake up. If your baby is waking up, we're going to use 5:30 as an example. Do not turn the TV on. Do not start playing games. Do not turn on bright lights. Don't turn on loud noises. Don't give them noisy toys. If they're up at 5:30 and they're up, give them books, give them low stimulation toys, let them snuggle in bed with you. Do something that's low stimulation, because once you start putting in high stimulation, like TV and things like that, first thing in the morning, you're going to be cementing that wake up time as their new wake up time. Another thing you can do for early wake ups is start giving them more solids for breakfast. This actually helps them sleep in longer. So say they're waking up at 5:30. Instead of giving them milk immediately, give them a bowl of oatmeal, see how they go, and then start pushing that out. The other thing you can do for early wake-ups is if you've already done sleep training and you have a sleep training method that you like, you can utilize that in the morning until 6 or 7 a.m. Step 2 is going to be figuring out the awake windows and biological nap times. So biological nap times are really easy, and then you're just going to be using those awake windows. After I'm finished this masterclass, I'm going to be sending everybody a link to, you may have already seen it on my website. You can download the nap routines that are appropriate for your baby's age. These are going to be generic. They're going to be averages. So you can download those and base your baby's nap routine off that if you want. Or you can just go, okay, my baby wakes up at 6:15 a.m., wake up time. Awake window, it says she should be awake for 2 hours. That means her first nap is 8:15. And then you're looking at the biological nap times, and the biological nap times are between 9 and 10 a.m. So you want to have that nap going into 9 a.m. Or you might decide, actually, I'm going to push her wake up time to 7 a.m. and then the 2-hour wake window brings us to 9 a.m., which is even better. It doesn't mean they have to fall asleep within the biological nap time. It's just you want that nap to be happening somewhere in that window. It's just going to be easier to get them to sleep, to stay asleep. And then your movable scheduling. So this is going to be your school pickups and drop-offs. This is going to be your mommy and me classes. Maybe you're going to the gym. Maybe you have work meetings. Maybe you work part-time. So then you're going to figure in those immovable schedules into your baby's schedule. So you might write this perfect nap routine and you're like, this is what my baby needs. And maybe you even get your baby on it and you do it for 2 weeks, but then you have these immovable things. School starts back up. Maybe you're homeschooling and you have a school co-op on, a Monday or a Friday. So it's just once a week. So add that stuff in and then figure out your baby's naps. And then you want to use the contingency plans with that immovable scheduling. So then you want to decide, we have something happening in the morning. I am going to use a car nap, or I am going to do a split nap, or I am going to skip that nap, add a little bit extra onto midday nap and bring bedtime a little bit earlier. So now you can see how all the pieces fit together. So you want to make sure there's really good night sleep because that helps day sleep. You want to be using your baby's biological nap times and their awake windows because this is just going to naturally help them sleep better. It doesn't take any work on your part. It's just working with your baby's body. And then you want to work with your family's routine, jump in those, immovable schedule stuff that we've talked about. And then you want to use your contingency plans. You want to use your motion naps, your carrier naps, your sideline nursing, which we're going to get into in a minute, and then adding sleep time where you can to make up for what your baby missed. I'm going to jump off the presentation and just see if we have any questions right now. Hi, ladies. I see we have a few more faces that joined us. Dan and Haley have baby Margot. I have a niece Margot as well. It's a cute name. She currently wanted to not sleep, so sorry for the no camera. No, that's totally fine. I wasn't watching anyone. And hey, if you want to reach out about bedtime struggles, because if she didn't want to sleep and it's probably bedtime, unless you're in the other part of the world, then feel free to reach out. Emily says, any tips for increasing nap quality at daycare? My baby will sleep great 1 to 2 hours for the first 2 daytime naps on home days, but who typically only sleep 20 to 35 minutes at daycare. So this is jumping back into the sleep association stuff that we talked about. So how is your baby sleeping at home? Are you using white noise? Are you using a blanket that he likes? Are you using darkness? Is it really quiet in the house? Think of the things that you're doing at home that are helping your baby sleep really well, and then ask the daycare to do those things. Of course, it's going to be slightly different at daycare, but often daycares will be very accommodating, especially because daycares want your baby to sleep better. Heck, I mean, they're going to break. So bring that stuff to daycare, tell them what you're doing, and also ask them to utilize the same awake windows and the same routine that you're doing. Babies do have different associations with different places. So it's not always possible that your baby will sleep as well at daycare, or this is actually more common, is that your baby will sleep really great at daycare and not great at home because they're more attached to their parents and they want to be with their parents at home. So I would really just chat to daycare and see what they can do. Maybe they have really, your kid sleeping by the window and it's super bright. Maybe they can move him to a different part of the room or even a different room. So I would check in with daycare and see what they're doing that is different to home, and then ask them to do the same things. Christine says, my son is 7 months and his most consistent nap, nap is a morning nap, like 10 to 12, but he's awake for almost 3 to 3.5 hours before that. Should I switch to an earlier, shorter nap? His afternoon nap is hit or miss, but we also haven't really found a routine that works for us yet. Bedtime is consistently between 6 to 7 p.m. Awesome bedtime. Love that for you. There's nothing better than getting your babies down earlier and having a little bit of an evening with your husband or by yourself if your husband's not home. So if he is having a really consistent morning nap, this is really normal because the melatonin is strongest in the morning. Sometimes there's even an overlap from the night melatonin and it kind of goes into the morning. And I see Leah has joined us, so I don't want to be delaying her segment on the side, lying nursing for too long, but just to finish up this question with Christine. If he's awake for a really long time, it sounds like if he's awake for 3 hours, he's awake since 7 a.m. I would try for a shorter nap much earlier. If he's 7 months, try a 9:15 or 9:30 nap and make it easy on yourself. Try a stroller nap or a car nap, something that he already goes down for. Try a contact nap. Try nursing him to sleep. Try something that's super easy and then wake him up after 30 minutes and then try for the next nap. So basically what you said, should I switch to an earlier, shorter nap? Definitely try the earlier, shorter nap, and then you'll have more success with a midday afternoon nap, because if he's getting a bunch of sleep in the late morning, he's not going to want to sleep. But then what happens is he's going to be awake for too long and be super overtired by bedtime. So see if that routine works for you. Whenever you're implementing a new routine as well, ladies, just try to do it for at least a week. 2 weeks is preferable. I love that, Heidi. Heidi says, hi, she works at a pregnancy center in the education department. She's just checking out my content because she wants to share it with her clients. I'm super excited about that because I would love to get involved with the pro-life movement. Her kids are 21, 19, and 12. And she's, I promise you will sleep again, all you beautiful new mamas. Yes, you will. You totally will. There's definitely hope. Oh, and I see Natalia left a message at the top. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Baby Elijah is going to be 9 months old. Pretty good sleeper, but right now for the last few weeks, his routine is to take a nap in his crib around 11:30 and 4-ish. He sleeps anywhere between 20 minutes to 1.5 hours. And at night, he goes down around 8 p.m. and sleeps in his crib until 2 a.m. That's actually not bad. I think you said he's nearly 9 months. Yeah. Obviously, it'd be great to get him sleeping through the night, but that's a good start. He usually wakes up a bit hungry and nurses well, days asleep, wants to sleep in my bed. If I put him in my bed, he will sleep the rest of the night or until 5 a.m. Some more milk, then he's up with Papa by 6:30 while I sleep then. Generally, he seems to have made his own routine and I just go off of him. That's awesome, listening to your baby's cues. Sometimes those cues are not exactly what we think they are. So if your baby is craving being with you and getting more sleep, it might mean he's telling you he's not getting enough sleep. And so the only way that he's able to get that right now is to go to his main source of comfort, which is you, and get more of that sleep. I would be switching his daytime sleep to see if it helps his nighttime sleep. You said that he naps in his crib around 11:30 and then 4-ish. These are kind of in good nap times. I would push off his morning nap a little bit because we want that to be, if he's only having 2 naps a day, we want that nap to be more midday. If your baby, oh, it's another quick tip. If your baby is not making it through till midday without a nap, that means they need a morning nap. They're not ready to drop their morning nap. If your baby can make it through till 12 with no sleep, then they're ready to not have that morning nap. They're ready to go down to that one nap. But we really don't need to be doing, so I can see the routine is just slightly shifted, Natalia. If he's doing 11:34 and then overnight and then he's having those wakings, I would shift it all back. I would do a morning nap, an early afternoon nap, have that longer awake window so he's more tired, and then see if we can get him to sleep through the night. You're probably not going to want to do all of that first day, but I would start with implementing a morning routine and then pushing that midday nap and see what happens there. Otherwise, it sounds like he's doing really well with his bedtime, which is great. Awesome. I think we have gone through the questions that I have, but as I said, message me over at bernie@snuggleconsulting.com and I will be happy to respond to you in person. And Leah, I would love to welcome, hi Leah, there she is.
Hi.
Hey, I can hear you perfect. I'm going to mute myself so I don't make any weird sounds and interrupt you talking. This is Leah Jacobson from Guiding Star Project, and she can share a little bit about her projects, what she does, how we can contact her, and then I'm excited to hear your content.
Yeah, this has been fabulous. And I wish I had heard this, 21 years ago when I had my first baby, because we were just totally weighing it. We were figuring it all out as we went. But as you were talking, even though I haven't had this education in such a nice, concise way of like these biological nap times, I can see that my kids naturally, would tend towards these certain times, even if I was not, facilitating it, quite frankly. So thank you for this information. And Bernie, don't go far because I'd like to, feel free to interrupt me and talk if you'd like as we go, if anything needs clarifying. Yes, I do have a nonprofit called Guiding Star Project. It's a women's health organization. We open up alternative birthing centers and we focus on fertility, childbirth, and breastfeeding, all from the natural perspective. So we really try to encourage women to understand, embrace, and love their natural bodies, like what their bodies do. Now, I'm not sure if everyone in here is breastfeeding, so that does change a little bit of the purpose of my presentation, because I want to talk with you about how breastfeeding is something that can really help you as the mom get some sleep. So I appreciate so much that Bernie's talking about baby nap times, but as a board certified lactation consultant, I'm an IBCLC. One of the more common issues I see is moms coming to me just wrecked, so exhausted, so tired, teetering on postpartum depression, teetering on just feeling like I can't do this anymore. I never want to do this again. This is awful. Not having a support network in place nearby, where they just feel like they're failing, which, by the way, a little bit of a side note on that, When I founded my nonprofit Guiding Star, I was in the midst of having lots of babies really quickly. And so I had my first 4 babies in 5 years. And I don't think I, really slept well for about, 7 years there. I'm expecting baby number 8 right now. I'm due in 8 weeks with my 8th baby right now. And I'm like trying to gear myself back up for nighttime feedings and nighttime stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
I have to say congratulations. That's awesome. I love that.
Thank you. It was I mean, we're always open to life, but it was not something that I thought was going to happen. So all of a sudden 44-year-old me is pregnant, and great. Here we go again. We're going to be up doing baby night shift, but it's been 6 years since I've had a baby. And so just preparing myself for that honest, like painful fatigue that comes. When we founded our Guiding Star Centers, I was in a point of just a low sleep period of my life. And so we actually made a standard feature in every one of our centers, a resting room or a napping room for moms. And so if a mom is feeling like she's about to lose it, you feel like you might be on the verge of shaking that baby, just having a completely safe, judgment-free place where you can bring your baby and put them in our drop-in child watch and go take a nap for 2 hours, because that is care for women. That's what it looks like to truly care for women and build up a culture of life and build up a culture of motherhood. So find somebody near you that is a safe nap drop point. If you need to nap yourself, your baby will be fine, but sometimes you are the one that needs the nap, not the baby. So I just want to highlight that a little bit. One of the reasons that breastfeeding is so great for moms is that there are some research and some studies that show that breastfeeding moms do tend to get more sleep. And there are some hormonal reasons for this. Some of the hormones that are released during breastfeeding, prolactin in particular, has a very strong sleepiness effect on the body for women. If you understand the cocktail from oxytocin, which is that love hormone that we talk about, it's the hormone of bonding, it's the hormone of orgasm, it's the hormone of letdown, it's the hormone of just feeling really loved and attached. Oxytocin is a precursor to prolactin. So the more oxytocin in your system, the more prolactin you're going to have, your milk supply increases. And so these hormones work so well together that you just feel sleepy. So when you've got your baby close to you throughout the night, throughout the day, you're going to feel sleepy. So just having an awareness of that, even during the day, that if you're trying to nurse your baby really quick, to get them laid back down, you're actually going to also be a little bit more sleepy afterwards. So don't plan that big important meeting or presentation or project or thing that you're really trying to crank out and just get done and power through right after nursing, because chances are good your hormones are going to work against you in that moment if you're breastfeeding. So just to have that awareness. I love the position of side-lying breastfeeding. Personally, for myself, I think it is what saved my sanity. I think it's what's prevented some serious postpartum depression. I think it's what's helped me sleep, getting those little cat naps throughout the day. And it's really a very simple position. I'm sure many of you have tried it, or maybe you haven't, but what I actually want to talk about is actually a little bit of a variation off the typical cradle side lying. Most of you have probably learned to lay on your side, to prop your head with a pillow or your arm, and to lay the baby on the bed beside you, tummy to tummy, skin to skin, chin to bottom of breast, pull them in nice and tight, and they're going to nurse. Well, I have found as a lactation consultant that doesn't work for the majority of people, depending on breast size, baby's latch, all the different factors that come into that. It takes 2 to nurse. It takes the nipple and the breast being protruded and being positioned well, with a baby who has no oral restrictions, no palate issues, no latch issues, lips that can open and jaws that are free. There's a lot that goes into that perfect latch happening. And a side lying position where a baby is just laying, on a bed beside you next to your breast is not going to be attainable for most women. I don't know if any of you in here had that as your regular position with breastfeeding. Please, if feel free to hop in the chat and say that it was great or it was horrible or whatever. But the position that I found that actually does work very well for most babies, where mom can still be in a side lying position, where her hormones can still be maximized because she's being able to fully relax, is actually a cross cradle side lying. And this one, you never see pictures of it. I don't know why. I've looked in manuals, I've looked in books, I even Googled it tonight, cross cradle side lying. It's very difficult to find. And what it actually is that instead of the baby laying, parallel to you, tummy to tummy, the baby's butt is actually on the bed. So imagine you're sitting up holding your baby in a regular cross cradle position. They're nursing here. Instead of laying down this way, you lay down this way. So now they are nursing on the top breast. Your top breast is the breast that the baby is nursing on, and your arm is just nice and behind them. This works especially well for babies that are about 3 to 4 months old because they really start looking around. They like to see the world. They like to pay attention to everything, older siblings, all those different things. And they can just latch better. If there's any latching issues, they can do this from the newborn age. This was the only position that worked with my 5th baby. I was just taking my boards to become a lactation consultant when I had baby number 5. He was born 3 weeks before my first board exam, and this baby would not nurse. And I remember crying and being like, I don't deserve to be a lactation consultant. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't get this one to nurse. He's just screaming. It's horrible. I don't know how to do this. And then one night, late in the middle of the night, I stumbled upon the cross cradle side lying with him. And that's the only way he nursed for the next several months. And so you have to figure out what that special little, situation is that works with each baby. Expecting baby number 8 right now, I can tell you that I have nursed 7 different ways so far, and I'm certain I'm about to learn the 8th. I have no idea what this baby will want, but I'm pretty certain it won't be anything that I've done with my other children. In terms of everything that Bernie, that you've been saying about naps and babies, I love so much you talked about these contingency naps, because I think that's what I basically just raised my children on, is contingency naps. They've always been having to run around to school pickups. They've always been having to run around to, other things. And when you have such a large family, you really end up with children in every life stage and lifespan. I have a 21-year-old son, and I'm expecting a baby. And yesterday I went to a kindergarten presentation, and then today I went to my daughter's senior homecoming coronation. And so there's just so much life happening. You're going to hit this point where you've got teenagers that you're chasing and trying to keep track of, and babies who are napping at the sidelines of the football game. It's just the reality. So learning to carry, learning to wrap, learning to find ways that your baby is comfortable moving. I've been very blessed. I really have been lucky. I think that my babies have been fairly easygoing and willing to sleep in a lot of different awkward places. But I also think that's because I've also breastfed them in very awkward places. I've also been that sort of source of comfort to them. You talk about the things that they're comfortable with, the things that they're acclimated to sleep. A breastfeeding mom, a breast is the best thing that they can acclimate to for sleep. It's that source of comfort. It's that smell. It's the whole package of I'm sleepy, because it's also coming with a heavy dose of tryptophan. And so they're getting the hormones that are going to induce sleep. There was some research done actually recently too for moms that breastfeed versus bottle feed in the middle of the night. So even if you are a breastfeeding mom, but you choose to have somebody else bottle feed at night, it actually is worse for your sleep, believe it or not, than if you had just tucked the baby in and breastfed them. Because you end up dealing with issues of engorgement, with leaking, with pain, somewhat disrupted sleep. And there's research that shows that when moms wake up at night, pull a baby in bed, side lie with them, nurse them, they don't lose much of their sleep cycle. They fall back into sleep very quickly, even if they're the one that gets up and puts the baby back to bed. I've had to deal with my husband for 21 years now. I hear the baby in the middle of the night. I hit him. He goes and gets the baby. He brings the baby to me. I nurse the baby. When the baby's done, I hit him. He takes the baby. He goes back, burps the baby, puts the baby back to bed. And that's the system. I don't move at night, and I sleep great. And that is something I treasure.
Cool.
Yeah, that's something I think that all breastfeeding moms deserve, that rest. And so just like your baby needs sleep, you also get cranky. You also get really stressed out if you're not sleeping. So recognize that in yourself, because all of a sudden you start to get really anxious when you hear the baby at night, when you hear the baby during the day, when you hear them wake up. I don't know if you've all felt this, but I definitely have had that feeling where your heart rate increases when you hear your baby make that first sound of waking. And it's not time for them to wake up yet. And you just have this like momentary panic. And that gets worse the less sleep you get. So you being well rested is critical right now. So Bernie, do you have any thoughts or questions or things to add there? I just wanted to talk about try side lying if you have not. I'm happy.
No, I love that. Yeah, I mean, because I have personally really struggled with side lying, and a lot of moms that I've talked to have had the same issue. And I think it's really what you touched on, Leah, is the position that we're finding is just not working.
It doesn't.
And we're all moms here, so it's fine. I have like super soft breast tissue, and I know that's kind of common. And so when you see these images, or you're being told like just like your breast should just be out, and like you're a new mom, and you're like, but it's not. Like, is something wrong with me? Is something wrong with my baby? But like everything else is fine. So I think that's super helpful, and something I'm going to try myself actually.
I mean, honestly,
yeah.
I've told moms, get the baby, sit however you normally sit, latch up, and then just lay down.
Let's try it.
Let's try it down so that their little bottom is on the bed, sitting upright. And most of the time, you can do it successfully.
Natalia had a question in the chat box. I don't know if you can see it. I think you can see it from your end. If you can jump onto the chat.
Yes. Okay. Sideline. Okay. Well, way to keep trying. 6 to 9 months out, you tried again. Okay. When he was really small, I just felt so far away. Totally. If I lay down, or that I just have to hover over him. Now, the hard part of sideline is if his legs kick off of my legs, which pushes him up away from the breast. If he's really squirmy, having him lay on top of me and feed off the top breast is easier than the bottom one. Totally. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That top breast is way better as they get older. That's exactly right. You're doing it.
The secret breast. I'll take it.
And interestingly enough, if you go, I don't know if you've Googled it yet, but Google cross cradle side lying and look for images.
Yeah.
And none of them are it. They're all the baby laying flat on the bed, which this is a really old position. It's been well known for hundreds of years and talked about in the literature, but it never gets its own little Google pic. So
we need to make one. It's our next project. Yes. I love it. Leah, thank you so much. I think that was super informative. Breastfeeding and sleep are just like, they're so impactful for each other. If your baby is not, and feeding, it's like obviously there's going to be moms out there pumping with bottles. Moms who have not been able to breastfeed at all, they're going to be formula feeding. So just feeding and sleep. I'm not someone who's going to knock breastfeeding just because, there's that whole thing, and I want to get into this right now, but like fed is best. And it's true, fed is best. I totally agree. But at the same time, I think it's important that we reiterate some of those things those benefits that we get when we're breastfeeding that are related to sleep, just so that we sort of keep at the top of our minds. If you're able to breastfeed and it works for you, don't knock it. Like give it the best chance you can, but that's not to shame those other mothers who it's not working for. Yes, your baby is getting fed. That's great. We love that for you, and we want your baby to be fed. But I think it's important that we sometimes just recognize those benefits instead of just sort of shoving them to the side, because we're getting caught up in this sort of inclusivity war these days. And not everything's equal.
Catching those naps throughout the day with your baby, if you're breastfeeding, do it as much as you can. Those little quick naps. You're like I was mentioning, the hormonal cocktails of the prolactin, like it makes it very easy for you to have a very quick nap. Take it.
Yeah,
take it.
100%. Especially when we're talking about contingency naps. I don't want to keep everybody super late, so I just want to jump over again to the presentation, because we had a giveaway going with Petite Saints. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. She makes beautiful handmade dolls. She is a Catholic mom of 8. I think she just had her 8th baby like a month ago. And these are just a little like sample. Like I love the St. Joseph ones. I think they're so adorable. But she makes all of these at home. And her children, help with some of the little side aspects of her business. So jump onto her site. And if you are looking for a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, I know the really big company out there I bought from them myself is Shining Light Dolls. But if you're looking for a small mom-owned Catholic business, that is, you're going to be supporting a family of 8, which I think is cool. Go to Petite Saints because her stuff is absolutely beautiful. We don't have everybody on tonight, so I am going to be doing a random generator to choose the giveaway winner, and then we'll be sending that out via email. So anybody who signed up for the masterclass got to enter the giveaway, and that includes, those moms who are going to be watching on the replay, and those moms who are going to be joining us later. So watch your email. You'll be receiving that by tomorrow, the giveaway winner. You can find me and you can book a free sleep assessment call through snuggleconsulting.com, or you can email me directly, or you can text me at that phone number there. You can screenshot this information if you like. And the free sleep assessment call is just to determine, what sleep issues your baby is having and what methods I would recommend and how you can work with me. And basically it's just a call to see if we will be a good fit for each other if you wanted to work one-on-one. Also on my website on snuggleconsulting.com, I have a ton of free resources. This masterclass tonight will be going up there as well. So jump on there if you haven't already and do the free resource section. And then if you still need help, go over. I think that I was not screen sharing. I just realized when I was trying to show you guys the dolls. So let me do that real quick because I went over to the presentation and then I'm sorry. But this wonderful lady here, she has these gorgeous dolls. So that's the St. Joseph one. And she has St. Patrick. She has a whole ton. She has custom dolls too. That is my information for anybody who wants to grab it. Obviously, you signed up for this masterclass, so you're getting emails from me. So thank you so much for coming tonight, you guys. It was, awesome having all of you here. And then I know all of you who are going to be doing the replays. I appreciate you guys watching us. Thank you, Leah, for joining us. I'm sure we'll be doing more collaborations in the future. So you guys watch out on my page for stuff from Leah from Guiding Star Project. Thank you. And yeah, I'll be in touch and watch out for the giveaway winner because it might be one of you on here tonight. Good night, ladies, and sleep well.